So it was my 17th birthday and I was driving my car and I had been having kind of a rough day and so I was crying while I was driving and I wasn't thinking properly and I was going too fast, and so my tires went off onto the shoulder of the road. It made that sound, and so I got scared and I overcorrected and went into a telephone pole. I don't remember that happening. I don't actually remember anything from that day.
Luckily, the first person to arrive on the scene was a volunteer firefighter who knew exactly what to do.
That was probably the most important thing, I would say. They say the care that you receive within the first hour after something like that happens to you is the most important care. I don't know if that's true or not, but definitely Jeremy Adams was the guy who found me, and he definitely owe a lot to him.
She was rushed to hospital in Perth by ambulance, then airlifted to Kingston General Hospital.
In the helicopter I had, I think, 5 blood transfusions. And then once I got to KGH, they put me in a neck brace and I was in a medically sedated coma. I broke my left acetabulum, so that's my hip, and then on the right side at the back of my pelvis, I sheared my sacrum. So that's 2 pelvic fractures, and then I had a lumbar spine fracture. I broke T1 and I also broke C5. So I've had C4 is now fused to C5 in my neck. Dr. Ellis did that surgery. And then in my pelvis and lower spine, Dr. Yaw did all of those. And so I have 2 screws in my hip. I have 1 rod through my pelvis. And then this is removed now, but I used to have 2 screws and a rod through my lumbar spine. And I had a trach as well. And I was in that coma for about a month to just let all of my injuries settle. Like, they didn't want me thrashing around in the bed. And then also I had a diffuse axonal brain injury with like a lot of swelling in the left frontal lobe. So they wanted me to just kind of give my brain some time to heal. And it's hard for everyone. So it's my mom. And I remember after I started getting better, she would go home to sleep at night. And I remember waking up in the morning without her there, and I remember I would just want her to come so badly. But, it was good. They're a really supportive family.
Fortunately for the Shannan family, all the care Maggie needed was available right here in Kingston.
I know, from my family's perspective, it just couldn't have been better, I don't think. Just from everyone, even the people who serve you food, the nurses, the doctors, everyone. They're just so compassionate and so understanding of what you're going through. It's hard to put yourself into that sort of a situation if you've never been in a situation like that, but they do a really good job of being empathetic. And I remember that's a lot of the nurses. You're in the hospital for so long, I really got to know some of the nurses, and just really, it was more than just them helping me out of bed or them giving me my medicine. It seemed like they really cared and wanted to help, and kind of like friends.
Maggie spent her first month in the intensive care unit before moving to the pediatrics ICU and eventually into a regular room on Kid 10 at Kingston General Hospital. It was at KGH where she first met Dr. Richard Henry from the pain clinic.
I had spent about a month in a coma, and I hadn't moved at all, just in bed the whole time. And they were lifting the sedation, they're lifting the pain medicine, because no one wants to be on that for their whole life. And so I ended up consequently being in more pain. I was losing mobility. I really didn't have very much mobility because I was only in bed, but one of my nurses was like, "We need Dr. Henry for this." And so we got Dr. Henry up to the room, and he came in and he was like, "It's going to be a little bit scary and it's going to hurt you, but we're going to give you some injections into your muscles, and I think it's going to help. You're going to feel better and you're going to start being able to move more, and we're going to get you off those drugs." And that's a lot to hear when you're the one in the bed. It was a little bit scary, but I trusted him, and he gave me the injections, and I had his light for light therapy. I had some cream that I would use, and it started to help, being in that much pain. I didn't think that I would ever be able to feel normal again. I broke the bones. I can think of lots of painful things that have happened, and I can't think of anything that compares to that.
As her bones healed, Maggie was transferred to Providence Care's St. Mary's of the Lake site for rehabilitation, although there was talk she may have to be sent to a specialty rehab center in Toronto.
I don't know how my parents would have done that. I don't know how anyone in my family would have done that. I don't really know how I would have done that. But the care was in Kingston, which was definitely the best thing that could have happened, because I don't know how we would have gone farther away. So I was very fortunate to be able to stay in Kingston and receive the same kind of care that I was receiving in the hospital, but in a rehabilitation center, so I'm really glad about that. But you know, the care was really good there too. I found the same thing with the nurses, you know, just really compassionate and understanding. I had a physiotherapist there who I saw more than my physiotherapist at KGH, and she was really nice. My OT, speech pathology, you know, I saw Dr. Smith over. She would come see me every day, and Dr. Henry would come see me. So he would come every day. You know, once he was done work, he would come over to my room, whether I was at KGH or whether I was at St. Mary's, and he would inject me like 10 o'clock at night, whatever time it was that I needed him. And so he was really available to help me, because he saw the situation for what it was, and I think he was the first person to believe, like, this person can have a full recovery if we all work at it. He was right.
Given the sheer amount of pain she experienced, that full recovery meant no longer taking powerful pain medication.
That has been one of the most important things to me. You know, it was getting to stand up out of my wheelchair for the first time was a big deal. But I remember the first day that I didn't take any pain medication. I was in a little bit more pain, but I was like, this is definitely what it's all about. Like, you see people who go down bad paths because they're on it, and it makes you feel horrible. You can't think straight, you can't see anything. You don't know what's happening. It's like it's almost as bad as the pain itself. So getting off the pain medication was one of the best things that's happened. And part of that was me and my willingness to do that, but part of that was Dr. Henry taking the lead and saying, let's get you off of this.
Eventually, Maggie was discharged and became an outpatient in the pain clinic, now located at Hotel Dieu Hospital, where she continues to see Dr. Henry and his team of pain specialists.
I go to see him there. I see him about every month or every 2 months now. You know, since the beginning, it's been like I see him every once in a while, and each visit gets further and further apart. You know, I really like him, he's a nice guy, but one day hopefully I won't be seeing him anymore.
In June of 2013, Maggie finished high school. Her graduation was a special event. It's an incredible outcome, considering this young woman was lucky to survive the crash and was even able to overcome being confined to a wheelchair.
You know, when it happened, I couldn't really think about it. You know, maybe that was the pain medicine I was on, maybe that was other reasons, but I didn't think that this would be the outcome. You know, I went for a run last night. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. I don't think a lot of people thought I'd be able to do that. But it's been a lot of work from a lot of people, and I'm for sure very happy that this has been the outcome.